Good time zone, everybody. My name is Commander 89. I go by Chevron in the furry community. I am an event host, volunteer, and staff member for CozyCon, and I had the privilege of making the Cozy Cretaceous badge this year. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to demonstrate to you how to attach this badge to your avatar. This tutorial is going to assume that you have the latest version of Unity that is compatible with VRChat installed, or an alternative compatible version. The latest version that is compatible with VRChat is 22.3.22f1. So once you have that installed, as well as the Creator Companion, this assumes that you'll be able to tinker around with your avatar, get it all set up, and the last step will be adding this badge to your avatar. So, your first step, of course, will be to get the role that has access to the free attendee swag from the CozyCon Discord. To get access to the free attendee swag from the CozyCon Discord, you'll go to the front desk channel and the role assignments sub-channel, where you'll see a post from Temrin that says 2024 attendee role gets some free swag. Once you react to this post, you will get access to the free attendee swag channel. Once you react to it, you'll click this link, and it will take you to a Google Drive page that has the Unity package for the attendee badge. So once you click that Google Drive link and you click the download option, it will give you the option to download the Unity package. You will save that right to your desktop or some other appropriate location. Once you have the Unity package downloaded, to import it into your workspace, you double-click the package, and from there you will see a pop-up that reads Import Unity Package. This window will indicate everything that's contained inside the package. The package is rooted in the CozyCon main folder, which is divided into a folder for Cozy Cretaceous, and that contains two additional subfolders, which contains the badge FBX file and the attendee Photoshop texture file. With this window open, click on Import, and you can see down here in your workspace assets list that the CozyCon main folder has been created, along with the Cozy Cretaceous folder, and the two folders that contain the badge and the texture file. To add the badge to your workspace, just click on the badge FBX file and drag it into your workspace. You can see that the material file is automatically applied, as is the texture file. And now it is a matter of mounting the badge to your avatar. So with my arrow keys and holding down my right mouse button, I'm going to modify my view. I'm going to tap my arrow keys. That allows me to fly around my workspace. And I like to be precise, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to get a little close. And I'm going to take this badge here, and I'm going to lift it up so that the badge is on my chest. So when I click the badge, I can see that I have three arrows here that allow me to move the badge along a variety of axes. The x-axis in red, the y-axis, or rather the z-axis in this particular orientation in green, and the y-axis in blue. Now, these axes might change based on which direction you're looking and which way the object is facing, but for our purposes, we're just going to quickly mount this. And you can see here that the badge is also a little too big. So we need to scale this badge down. So I'm going to click the badge, and I'm going to click this button here. I'm going to click the Scale tool. I'm going to click and hold on this gray box, and I'm going to drag my mouse either forward or back to scale it down to a more appropriate size. You can also do this manually by typing in values into the scale entries over here in the inspector column. But for our purposes, we're just going to do this really quickly here. And we're going to bounce back and forth between our position adjustment tool, and it's our moving tool, and the scaling tool as we move the badge closer to our figure, or our avatar. I'm also now going to use the rotation tool here, and I am going to click along the x-axis to better rotate this model. And while we're at the subject, if you make a mistake or if you move an asset and you're not quite happy with the results, you can hit Control Z, which is your universal undo key, to reverse your last change. You can also hit Control Y to redo your last change. So you can bounce back and forth. Control Z, Control Y. And if you want to be even more precise, you can hold down the Control key, click on an axis, and you see that you can rotate this object along various degrees. You can see the rotation scale in the inspector column on the right-hand side is moving at 15 degrees for every tick of this clock. And like I said, you can also make the adjustment manually. So let's say I wanted to adjust the rotation so that it's facing straight up. So we'll change this minus 90 to 0, and you can see the impact is immediate. My badge is now vertical instead of horizontal and flat on the ground. So we'll move the badge a little bit more. We'll adjust it here, and we're going to scale it down a little more. Hit our scale tool, hit this gray box, click and hold and drag the mouse downward. It's going to adjust the scale here. I'm going to move the badge closer to my body. There you go. I'm going to adjust the rotation so that it looks a little bit better with respect to the contours of my chest. I'm going to use the movement tool, bounce back and forth. And there we have it. I think that looks pretty flush there. Well, let's say you want to make the badge a little thicker just for our purposes here. You can go to your scale tool. You can hit this blue axis here, click and drag and pull. You can see I can adjust the thickness of the badge so that it doesn't look flat as a pancake. Then you can use your movement tool to better conform it to your body. Rotation tool to be even more precise. Now with the badge positioned on your body, you have to actually attach the badge to your avatar's bones. And bones for an avatar are exactly as they sound like. Every avatar has a literal skeletal structure that determines how their limbs will move and interact with the rest of the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach this badge to our avatar's chest. So depending upon how your avatar is constructed, you will have a series of drop-downs that will identify your avatar's skeletal structure. Typically, it's armature, hips, spine, chest, and then we'll identify the avatar by shoulders, neck, which will lead to your head, which will lead to your tongue, mouth, that sort of thing. So for our purposes, I'll demonstrate this, we want to attach the badge to our avatar's chest. You can see that if I try to use my rotation tool on my chest, I'm going to click my chest attribute right here. Let's say I try to rotate it. You can see that the badge is not going to move because the badge is currently not attached to my avatar's bones. So this is just a matter of clicking and dragging the badge entry in your hierarchy to the bone that you want to attach the object to. So we're going to attach it to my chest. And now we're going to try to move my chest. And there we have it. You can see the badge is attached to my avatar. Now, let's say we make a mistake. Let's say we accidentally attach the badge to another object, like, say, my head. Then we try to move my chest. So sure, that works. But if we move my head, you can see that with the movement of my head, my badge also moves because it is using my head bone as the bone at which it is attached to. So you want to make sure you attach it to the proper bone. Just click, drag, drop straight on the chest, close the drop downs I don't need. Here's my chest. As my chest moves, my badge moves. Let's try my head again. And as my head moves, my badge does not move because my badge is attached to my chest bone, not my head. Now we're going to focus on editing our texture file. Now, assuming that you have Photoshop or another appropriate photo editing software installed that can read Photoshop files, it's just a matter of double-clicking the texture file, which will open up a version of Photoshop installed on your computer. You may be presented with an error or a notice that asks you about layers and editable layers. You want to keep those layers. Otherwise, your text may get merged to the actual artwork. It also may ask you to update some layers, especially if you're running an older version of Photoshop. Now, one issue you may encounter is if you try to edit your fonts, if you try to edit the text on the badge, you may be presented with an error saying that you're going to cause the layout to change. Of course, you want to click OK to continue, but you also might encounter an error saying that the font of choice is missing. So, if that is the case, then you're going to have to make a note of the font that is installed and try to search for it on the internet. In this case, the font that is used is Open Sans Bold. Once you have that font downloaded, then you'll be able to edit the text without having to change it or encountering any kind of error or warning or notice. And then to edit the text, it's just a matter of clicking the text that you wish to edit, typing what you want, and for our purposes, the text size might be a little bit big, so you'll have to adjust the size of said text. So I'm going to lower it to 220. I have to make this a little bit bigger. 220 and enter. You can see that the text is much more appropriately sized. And then you have an entry in the Photoshop file that will allow you to pick the pronouns that you wish to display. So I'm going to hide the ask text. I'm going to select my pronouns, and then I'm going to hit Control S to save the file. And you're done with Photoshop. You can close this, close Photoshop, and you can see the text on my badge changed immediately. But you can also see that it's spilling over to the sides of the badge, so you may have to go back into Photoshop to make that adjustment. Now that your badge is mounted to your avatar, you can publish your avatar or update your avatar with your VRChat SDK. Assuming that you've already gotten your avatar loaded and you're not loading it up for the first time with its own title or text or settings, it's just a matter of confirming the information and then clicking on Upload down here at the bottom of the VRChat SDK. Well, let's say we're doing this for the first time. We have our avatar selected. We'll come up with a new name. I'm going to call this CozyCon Cretaceous Badge. Will my badge work? You want to make sure that your visibility is set to private. Otherwise, you may end up releasing this avatar publicly, and then anybody who clicks on your profile might be able to see it and download it. So we don't want that. We're going to capture a thumbnail from our scene. I'm going to use a custom camera. And this is all ancillary to making sure that we have an avatar that we can see on our profile in our builder and our avatar selection screen. But for our purposes, we'll just quickly demonstrate that. And once all of this information is plugged in and you have cleared any warnings or errors that your validations have detected, it's just a matter of clicking Build and Publish to update your existing avatar. Or if you want to test it out to see how it looks, you click on Build and Test. So we are going to build and test this now. And it'll just be a moment while this updates itself. All right. Got a notice here saying that our avatar was built successfully. So at this point, if you go into your Content Manager in VRChat SDK, you click on Fetch, scroll on down to your test avatars, you're going to see your test avatar entry right down here. So let's launch VRChat, and let's see what happens. For our purposes, we're just going to quickly launch in desktop mode. Okay. So now we're going to check to see if our upload was done properly. So you can see my existing avatar here with my staff badge. Let's go into our avatars section and let's see what we've got. We'll go into uploads. Let's see. Oh, we'll go into other, excuse me. Gonna go into other. We're gonna check our test avatar. Change. And there we have it. We can see that my attendee level badge is attached to my avatar, and it moves around with the movement of my chest. And that's it. You have successfully attached the attendee badge to your avatar. Enjoy CozyCon, and enjoy your weekend. Thanks very much for watching.